brother, and it's difficult to actually to stop taking these kind of questions, because these questions, I think, are maybe about 40% of the questions we get on Ask Others sometimes. And we do reply to these brothers and sisters, and we give them a lot of advice, but they keep coming back. These kind of questions about chatting and having conversations with the opposite sex, meeting up with people arguing that there's nothing wrong with this. My sheikh said at the local mosque this is allowed and so forth. And this brother gives another one of these questions. He says, what's the problem? Why do you always speak about it on the TV and ask that we're not allowed to speak to the opposite sex? We've got nothing in mind, we just want friendship. Friendship is nothing wrong. So he says, please explain yourself. So Sheikh, explain ourselves.
Well, this is quite difficult to explain yourself during a Q&A program, because this needs a lot of elaboration. Claiming that all what we want is friendship between the opposite sex, this means that you have a problem with your hormones. You have a problem with your hormones, because a boy cannot have a friendship with a girl unless he has a problem with hormones. Therefore, don't be deceived by Satan's whispers. You chat, you enjoy chatting, you have an objective. And this may be long-term, maybe short-term. Why chat with the opposite sex when you have the same sex to chat with? So there is something fishy. Besides, you always make this okay for yourself, but let's presume that someone wants to chat with your sister, and you know that your sister is chatting with another boy. Is that okay with you? If it's okay, then you have a serious problem. And if it's not okay, then definitely it's not okay for you. Chatting usually leads to something. Exchanging photographs, and then maybe phone calls over the net, voice over IP or whatever, and then it expands a little bit more. Maybe if you are in the same region or town, maybe it leads to a meeting. It's a friendly meeting. It's just a date. I'm not going to do anything. So you presume and hope. But this is not the case. If you are one of the 1% that really don't have a problem with this, what about the 99%? And who classifies you that you are one of those who will not fall into sin? This is exactly what Allah Azza wa Jalla had warned us from, and that is not to follow the footsteps of Satan. وَلَا تَتَّبِعُوا خُطُوَاتِ الشَّيْطَانِ. And this is exactly what you are doing, and that is why it is completely forbidden.
Assalaamu Alaikum. This is your brother Abdurrahman Murphy coming to you with a session of Roots Q&A. Today's question asks, is it permissible, is it okay for guys and girls to be friends with one another? Now, this question particularly comes from a brother, but I get this question a lot from sisters as well. The answer to this question has a few layers to it, so we're going to take a look at each layer with a different perspective. The first layer that we're going to look at is the layer of our faith, right? How Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, as we've learned in our Sunday schools, from our parents, from our imams, from our sheikhs, from our teachers, we've learned that it is not permissible for a guy and a girl to be friends with one another. This is because of temptation, because of potential for mistakes, especially in the current contemporary definition of what a friend is. This isn't really permissible, right? Now, taking a look from a practical perspective, after thinking about what it means to be a friend and being friends and all the scenarios and all the possibilities, I've come to the conclusion that there's going to be there are four possible scenarios. If a guy and a girl choose to be friends with one another, there are four possible scenarios that are going to happen, right? The first scenario is called just friends. Now this scenario is where the guy and the girl are friends and they remain just friends. And you know, they're friends for a long time, they help each other, they counsel each other, they communicate, they hang out, they're good friends, right? Eventually a time is going to come where both of them or one of them is going to have to get married. Now, for those of you who are married, or for those of you who are planning on getting married or engaged or whatnot, you understand and you're going to be able to sympathize with this point that oftentimes spouses, most of the time actually, spouses are not comfortable with their spouse hanging out with friends of the opposite gender. So for example, my wife would not feel comfortable with me hanging out with girls, and I wouldn't feel comfortable with my wife hanging out with a bunch of guys or talking to them or texting or whatnot. And this is just because of our comfort with each other, right? Now, oftentimes in our culture, in American culture, this is seen as, oh, you don't have enough trust, or oh, you don't have confidence, or you're paranoid. But I don't think it has anything to do with that. In fact, if you look at studies on relationships and psychologist studies on relationships, you'll see that it's actually very normal for the spouse to have a feeling of protectiveness and of kind of like this feeling of kind of, you know, belonging, to the point where they don't want their spouse with people of the opposite gender, because there is a potential for making a mistake and for infidelity or whatnot. Even if it's not physical infidelity, there may be emotional infidelity, where the spouse actually ends up liking someone else more than they like their own spouse, right? So the guy likes another girl more than he likes his own wife, and is attracted to her and emotionally attracted to her and whatnot. So the dangers are very, very real, right? And so this friendship, in this first scenario, just friends, this friendship ends up becoming broken, because when you do get married, or eventually when one of you or both of you will get married, what happens is that your spouse will not feel comfortable, and you have to respect the comfort level of your spouse, right? It's part of marriage, is respecting the comfort level and compromising for each other and showing your love for each other by making each other comfortable. So the relationship, the friendship will end up being broken, and this long-lasting friendship that you've had will be broken, and it will be very, very painful. It will be heartbreaking, right? So situation number one ends up in pain. Situation number two out of the four is called the friend zone. And what happens here is when two people are friends, a guy and a girl, are friends for a while, and one of them decides, you know what, I like them more than a friend, I'm just going to tell them, and we're going to see what happens. So let's say the guy goes up to the girl and he says, you know what, I really like you more than a friend. And the girl's like, oh God, this is awkward, I only like you as a friend, you're like a brother to me and whatnot, and you know, yada yada yada. So the girl is not interested in being any more than a friend. The guy now is heartbroken, right, because he loves this girl, he really, really is attracted to her. All she wants to do is be friends with him. The girl now is also heartbroken because this is someone who she was really close to probably, and now she's lost him as a friend because now he's that awkward guy who likes her more than a friend. So now it's really, really awkward, right? So if he opens the door for her, she's going to be like, oh God, he's trying to get me to like him. And you know, if she hands him a handful of trash to throw away for her because she's busy, he's going to be like, oh my God, it's a sign, she likes me finally. So there's always this awkward scenario in this situation called the friend zone, right? Now in the friend zone, what ends up happening is that this friendship you've had, for the person who likes the other person, it's painful because that person doesn't like you back. And for the person who's being liked more than they like the other person, it's painful because you just lost a really close friend. That relationship will never be the same. So 2 out of the 4 so far end up in pain, right? The third scenario, the third situation is called never meant to be. And what happens here is, let's say the two people are friends and they end up liking each other, but for some reason, whether it's geography, whether it's age, whether it's culture, they're not able to get married or be together, right? It's a really, really sad story. It's a really sad situation. It happens oftentimes, most of the time in movies, but it happens a lot. So these people are not able to be together and they have to get married to someone else. Now, their friendship led to them liking each other, right? The only reason why they were able to like each other so much is because of their friendship. So if they just kind of were patient and tried to avoid each other and were modest around each other and weren't friends, then they wouldn't have had developed this attraction for one another that would have caused so much pain when they eventually were not able to be together. The fourth scenario, so 3 out of 4 now are ending up in pain. The fourth scenario is that called happily ever after. Now, don't let the name get you excited because this happens very rarely. It's like 0.01%. I know that everyone right now who is in a friendship that they're attracted to someone is like, oh my God, I'm the 0.01%. But in reality, it may not happen with you, right? So you have to be very careful. 0.01%, what happens is that a friendship occurs, they're attracted to each other, and they end up getting married and they live happily ever after. Now, the reason why I would say don't bank on this is because it's very rare, it's very exceptional, it's not the rule, it's not the norm, it's not the rule, it's the exception to the rule. So if you look at this question analytically, you see that 3 out of the 4 scenarios end up in pain and heartbreak. Now, from a side perspective, from a spiritual perspective, as a youth director and as someone who's studying Islam, a common theme that you find throughout all of Islamic literature and Islamic teachings is that Islam is meant to preserve and protect our heart and our body and our mind and save it from pain. One of the goals of Islam is to save us from ever feeling pain, right? Whether it's physical pain, whether it's emotional pain, whether it's intellectual pain, and that pain includes the pain of feeling heartbroken, right? Having a love not work out. And so when we look at this regulation and this guideline that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent down and His Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam taught us as well, it might seem at first like kind of prude and kind of weird, but if you look at it like we did in these 4 scenarios, if you take it to its logical conclusion, then what ends up happening is you realize that Islam is just trying to save us from pain and heartbreak. Yes, we have to be patient. Yes, we have to persevere. And no, it's not easy. I understand a lot of us are working in public places. We go to school at universities or high school or middle school. And even in Islamic school is no different, right? There's the same relationships that happen. But we have to be patient, have to persevere. And trust me, when you get married, if you've held out, if you've become patient with your friendship and not given too much of your heart away, even in friendship to the other gender, then when you get married to your spouse, you're going to be able to give your whole entire complete heart to your spouse, and that friendship will be the best friendship you've ever had.
What's the problem with having friends of the opposite gender if my intentions are pure? How many of you have ever seen the clip, Why Guys and Girls Can't Be Friends? Raise your hands. طيب. You need to watch it. I promise you it's not a sheikh. It's not going to be a guy with a big beard that's going to tell you why guys and girls can't be friends. It was actually an experiment on a college campus by a non-Muslim.
Here we are at the Utah State University Library for some interviewing to ask people if they believe that men and women can be just friends. So let's go inside and see what we can find. Do you believe that men and women can be just friends?
Yes. Yeah, of course. Yes, I do. Yeah.
Yes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it'd be hard to do.
Yes.
I mean, we're all men.
I know.
So of course we're going to have those feelings, and we can be content with just friendship, and we can be silent regarding those feelings, but we're going to have them.
Yes.
No. No.
Yes. Yes.
I don't believe so. No. I guess what I'm saying is no.
Okay, good.
Backpack road bacon and run
Okay, we'll walk with you. Do you believe men and women can be just friends?
Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
Okay, do you have any guy friends right now who you're just friends with?
Yeah. Oh yeah. All my best friends are guys. Dave. Trevor. Taylor Mulford. Bobby. Yeah.
How long have you known Trevor?
2 years.
Of those guy friends, do you think any of them secretly like you? And be honest,
Probably. Yeah.
do you think that guy is interested in you?
Yes. Okay, maybe you can only be just friends in high school, because most guys won't just be my friend.
Would Dave hook up with you if you gave him the chance?
Well, yeah.
Do you think Trevor liked you?
Yeah.
And
Yes.
would he hook up with you if you wanted to hook up?
Yeah.
So he likes you.
Mm-hmm.
So what you're saying is men and women can't be friends.
No, we can be friends.
But you're just friends, but he likes you.
Yes.
So it's a one-sided friendship.
That was one instance.
If she wanted to hook up, would you hook up?
Oh, totally. Look at her.
Don't be sarcastic. I need the truth.
Seriously, yeah.
All right, there we go. All right, that's perfect. Okay, cut.
Because of physical attraction, it's not possible.
Okay. But you said I just want to be just friends.
Yeah.
Now, do you literally believe that he's not interested in you at all? Oh, yes! Yes! That's what I'm talking about! As we can see, after interviewing everyone in the library, it is impossible for men and women to be just friends. And under no circumstances can it happen. That's a wrap.
Here we are at the Sundance Film Festival in Park City, Utah. Today we're going to walk around and find some couples on the streets to ask them whether it is appropriate for men and women who are in a relationship to have friends of the opposite sex outside of that relationship. So let's walk around and see who we can find. How long have you guys been dating?
6 months.
9 months.
2 years. A couple months? Almost a year.
A month and a half. 2 years.
My question I'd like to ask you is whether you think it's appropriate for men and women who are in a relationship to have friends of the opposite sex outside of that relationship.
Yes.
I think it depends on the situation.
No.
Yes.
I think it's fine. Just one-on-one, whether it be to study, to work, lunch meetings, whatever the reason is. That's the question we're asking. What do you say? Do you say it's appropriate?
No, I don't think that's appropriate.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. What do you say, Lee?
Depends on the friendship.
I don't think so.
I think, yeah.
Not if they're hot.
No. Appropriate? No. Why would you?
Depending on who the dude was.
We just got a quick interview right there with Danny Glover. Would it bother you if they hung out with another girl one-on-one?
Yes, it would. To be honest, I think it would bother me regardless of the situation.
Would that bother you?
Yes, it would. Honestly, it would.
I don't like that idea.
Yes, it would bother me. If he was alone with her.
Hey, I gotta say, that mustache is the coolest mustache I've ever
Seriously.
seen. Be honest, would that bug you or not really?
Bug me?
It would?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So why would...
Rocking the boat here.
So my last question for you is, if you know it bothers him, why would you do it? And you hang out with them one-on-one?
Yeah.
Yes? While you both have boyfriends?
Yes. Yes.
And you just said that it would bother you if he hung out with a girl yet you still hang out with the guy.
Yeah.
Oh, women. Can't live with them? Imagine your best friend that's a guy. Switch it, now make it a girl. Could you just stay friends with that girl?
Is the girl hot?
I don't know. Well, would you be friends with her if she wasn't? 9 times out of 10, men do not surround themselves with girls they're not interested in.
I would agree.
You would agree with that?
You agree?
Yeah, I do.
To make this a little bit more diverse, we're going to go find a gay or lesbian couple. Hey, excuse us.
Yeah.
Can we do a quick interview real quick?
Sure.
Are you two dating?
No, we're not.
For example, hypothetically, if you two were dating, would it bother you
Hey,
if...
wait a minute. Weren't you the guy that went to the high school?
So what you're saying is that men and women can't be friends?
That's not what I said at all.
The point we're making is that you can trust someone a lot, but if they keep putting themselves in a situation where they can fall, eventually they will fall. Obviously in group settings, things like that, it's not a big deal. Why do you say no?
Because men and women can't be friends.
And that's a wrap.
So basically he asked the guy, it takes guys and girls, and he asked the guys, do you think you could ever, do you ever think about that person in a sexual way or things of that sort? And he asked the girls the same question, and so all of them said, no, of course we can be friends and we don't think that way. Then whenever he had the guys alone, he asked them the same question. Do you think guys and girls could be friends? He's like, nah. All of them said no. And all the girls were like, yeah, of course. Then he asked the girls, he said, well, do you think that if you opened yourself up to a relationship with him that he'd be willing to engage in a relationship with you? And they were like, oh yeah, of course. And so the point was, the end of the experiment was, guys and girls can't be friends, of course, in that regard. The point is, and I'm not an advocate for, I think that, subhanAllah, Sheikh Salman al-Auda once said something very powerful. He said, if you close the doors to that which is permissible, people will break the doors. People will break them and people will transgress. There was communication and interaction between genders at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, but it was respectful, it was limited to what was necessary, it was not, subhanAllah, we teach split personality, seriously. It's like the sister comes to the masjid, she's an alien, right? But whenever she's outside, mashallah, she's fair game. That's hypocrisy. We should learn to be consistent. In essence, the Rasulullah, we were forbidden from khalwa. We were forbidden from being alone with one another. We were forbidden from being flirtatious and promiscuous, from exposing anything from the hijab. Guys and girls, guys, you got a hijab too. I'm just letting you know, you also have to observe certain limits, so don't think you can post whatever pictures you want to post too. Okay? Khalwa, being alone, cyber khalwa. All right, G-chat and Facebook chat with all the smiley faces and things of that sort, and I think you looked really good in your jersey today, and whatever it was, all of that is not allowed either. Now, why is it? What if my intentions are pure? And this is something I really want to address. From the maqasid of Sharia, from the objectives of divine legislation, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala addresses norms. Allah does not address exceptions. The Sharia is based upon norms, not on exceptions. If you feel like you can be with, you feel like you can be with a girl and she's just my cousin, she's my really good friend, I don't ever feel that way towards her, you are not the norm, you are the exception. The legislation will not be based on the exceptions, it will be based on the norms. Just a month ago, I had a sister that took one of my classes that told me that she was with her male cousin, alone in the car. He used to drop her off to school every day for 2 years, and all of a sudden he groped her. They're both masjid goers. She didn't know how to deal with it. She said, I never expected it. I never thought of him that way, but obviously he was thinking of me that way. And that's the first thing that's wrong with this question. My intentions were pure. How can you know the intentions of the other person? You cannot know the intentions. And let me just tell you something, sisters. Guys play a lot of games. No offense, man. Brothers, just cover your ears. We are not who you think we are sometimes. Okay? As long as a man is still biologically a man, he still is attracted to a woman. Okay? Unless he's undergone some procedure or something like that, he's still a man. He still likes women. He still likes sisters. Okay? So Allah addresses the norms, not the exceptions. Maybe you can control yourself, but not everyone can.
So I want to thank you all for tuning in. Jazakallah khair for asking a question, and I look forward to getting more questions from you guys in the future. Jazakallah khair. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.